Hello, everyone. This is Nazia from Inclusivity Education, where we work with children online and in person using the Autumn Gillingham approach. Personally, I tend to work with kids online quite a bit, which is exciting as it gives me access to meeting children from all over the globe, and we share stories about cultures and lifestyles, and that's always quite interesting. However, working online, I often get asked about how we make sessions engaging and interactive for learners. The trouble with online learning is sometimes it can be a passive experience. And when you're working with young children who are having difficulties, you don't want to do that. You want to make lessons engaging and active. The way we do this is by using two main resources, which is PowerPoint and Zoom. We use PowerPoint because we can make interactive games. And through Zoom, using the remote control function, I can give my student remote control and then they're able to manipulate everything on my screen and play the games. So for today, we're going to have a look at a simple matching activity. So here's a little bit of a demo. To play this game, you need to go onto slideshow mode. And what happens is the student selects the words, tries to match them. And if they don't match, then they turn the card over. And that worked perfectly fine. This game is quite quick to make. So what we're going to do is we're going to select everything on the screen and take it out. So to begin with, you need to go onto the Insert tab and select Shapes. Pick a shape that looks somewhat like a card and copy and paste it. One of these cards is going to be the front of the card where we have a picture, and the other card is going to be the back of the card where we have the word. So for the back of the card, I like to have something that's a bit lighter. So if you go onto the Home tab, you will see that it gives you the option to fill the shape. If this doesn't show up, then you can just look at shape format and it should give you the same option. So what we're going to do is go onto shape fill. And with the drop down options, we're going to pick something quite light. I do tend to go for this peachish, orangish color. And then you select both the cards, and that's just by clicking on one card, holding down Control on your keyboard and clicking on the other card. And looking at shape outline, which is under shape fill. Go to weight, and you can make your cards have a thicker border. So at this point, the blue side is the front of the card, and the peach one is the back of the card. If you double click on the peach card and you try to type something out, you might find that the font's white and rather small. So what you want to do is change it to a darker color. So you can come up here and change that to black. And we can change the size of the font. I tend to pick anything between 30 and 50, depending on how long the word is. So we're going to go with 40. Now the front of the card looks rather dull. It's just boring, a blue, simple blue card. So we might want to switch that up. So click onto the blue card, which is the front of the card, and go back to shape fill. The drop-down menu will give you the option for picture, and select picture and go for online pictures. Now you can pick any picture of a scenery or something your students particularly interested in, like trains or ferries or a particular cartoon character. Today, I'm going to go with hot air balloons. Now, I want us to consider that the cards that we have made are in portrait shape, and so we want to pick a picture that's also in portrait. And the reason is that if you pick a picture that's in landscape, when it goes on the card, it gets compressed. Similarly, if you've got pictures that are in landscape and you pick a card that's in portrait, what ends up happening is that the image then sort of gets stretched out and it just isn't very aesthetically pleasing. So we know that our cards are in portrait form, so we're going to pick one of the pictures that's in portrait. So it could be this one, it could be this one, or this one. So I'm going to pick this card. I quite like how that looks. And there you go. So we have the front of the card with a hot air balloon and a blank back of the card. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into the arrange option. The drop-down menu will give you selection pane. So click onto selection pane. You'll notice that when we've clicked on that front of the card, it's highlighted rectangle with whatever number, depending on how many different things you've made until this point. So we're going to double click and change that to front of card. And then you click onto the back of the card, and similarly, you'll see it highlighting what exactly that is. And we're going to double click on it and name this back of card. The reason we're naming it is just to make our animations a little bit easier for us to keep track of. So what we want to happen is when the student clicks on the front of the card, the word should show. And when the student clicks on the word, the front of the card should reappear. So to do this, we're going to go onto the animations. So click onto animations and we start building those in. So basically, we want this front of the card to disappear. And we want it to disappear when we click on it. So we're going to go on to trigger to put the condition in. So we want it to disappear when we click the front of the card. But then we also want it to reappear when we click on the word. So what you're going to do is you're then going to add an animation. And you must click on add an animation. And we want it to reappear on the condition of us clicking on the back of the card. Now take your front of the card or your picture and try to put it on top of your word card. And you might find that doesn't quite work. So what we need to do for that is we go onto the Home tab and you click onto Arrange. And we want to change the order for that card to come to the front. Now let's see if it works. There we go. So now let's give it a test run to make sure that those animations are working quite well. So we'll go on to slideshow. Start the slideshow. And let's see if this works. When we click on the front of the card, the word shows. When we click on the word, the front of the card reappears. That's all gone according to plan. What you then want to do is take your cursor and drag it so that you've selected everything. At this point, you'll have selected the front and the back of the card. Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and now we've got 2. And this second one will have both the front and the back of the card. You can even select both of them and copy and paste them. And then you could select all of them, copy and paste them. And there we've got 8 cards. Then go ahead and click the front of the card, hold down Control, and click onto the other front of cards and shrink them. Now we can put in our words. So I'm going to make a resource for CCVC words. Now we'll click back onto the balloons. Remember, hold down Control, and that allows you to select more than one image. And we're going to pull it back up to size. And the reason we want to do them all together is just to make sure that there's uniformity. So now we'll go back to the slideshow, start it from the beginning, and see how it works. And that worked absolutely perfectly. What I recommend is if you can make this game into a template, that would be great. And that can then be used with other children using other words. So, for instance, if I'm working on 2-syllable words with my student, I can use the same game and add my 2-syllable words. So we see that doesn't fit very well, but that's not a problem. We're still just going to type in the words. Sometimes thinking of words is a little bit more tricky than we imagine. Then take your cursor, select everything on your page, go onto the Home tab. Then you can go onto the font size and you can change that. So we've changed it to 30. We're going to select our pictures again. Let's just say the student we're working with doesn't particularly find hot air balloons interesting and they prefer something else. So what you need to do is select all of the front of the cards. Remember, hold down that Control button. And then go onto Shape, Fill. The drop-down menu will appear and you can select Picture, Online Pictures, and we could pick anything else. Let's just say the student we're working with particularly likes abstract painting. Or you particularly like abstract paintings. So we're going to go and pick something. The good thing about these abstract paintings is if you click onto them, even if they are in landscape orientation in your cards and portrait orientation, it usually doesn't give you much trouble. So we're just going to click any nice picture, and there it's changed them all. So this is how you make a simple matching activity. If you want your activity to have more cards, select on all of this. You can reduce the size if you want. And then you can select the bottom set, push it all the way up. And then you can copy and paste because it has the animations. So it should be fine. The animations are being copied and pasted along with the new set of cards. And here you go. You've got a game that's got more cards. So if we go on to the slideshow mode, so we see, it's always nice to try out your cards to see how it works. So we're going to go back. We're going to select everything, go onto home. You might want to either change the size of the font or expand the cards so we could see which one works. So let's go on to slideshow and see, did it work better? Yep, worked great. And there you go. A fun matching activity that I think was rather painless to make. Give this a try and let me know how it goes in the comments below. Have fun, everyone.